Hello everyone, this is Ruby Stretch giving my cast assessment and placement predictions video for Hell's Kitchen Season 21, Battle of the Ages, to you. As usual, I will assess the contestants based on what I've seen in the first 5 episodes in this video. I would also take into consideration relevant teasers and TV listing descriptions when doing this assessment, but the Futon critic is doing a hell of a good job and not giving away any hints regarding upcoming services. Considering that I will dive into events that have occurred over the past 5 episodes and that I will be predicting where I think the contestants will place this season, I am issuing a spoiler alert for the rest of the video. You have been warned. Before we begin, I will go over a Hell's Kitchen first. After her dish was deemed the worst overall in the Creative Chicken Wing Challenge, Ileana was supposed to be eliminated, but Ramsay ultimately gave her another chance. What made this interesting was that the contestants have previously given convincing pleas when being nominated for elimination, but Ileana became the first contestant to successfully plead to stay as she was being eliminated. In other words, after Ramsay had asked her to give him her jacket. By sparing Ileana here, Ramsay created a deficit in terms of eliminations that he cleared up later in the episode. I'll be talking about Ileana later, but here's my idea for a comment from Ramsay had she definitively been eliminated. Ileana seemed to be a great candidate to become my next protege, but her Hell's Kitchen resume left a poor first impression and so I was no longer interested. Now, I will first assess the 5 eliminated contestants in the order of their elimination, and from there, we'll assess the remaining contestants based on where I think they will place this season. To start off, we've got Charlene Sherman, the first contestant from the state of Wyoming. Charlene's short run on Hell's Kitchen can be described using one word: quiet. Even in my preseason breakdown of the contestants, I couldn't give a suggestion on how far Charlene would go simply because she didn't have enough screen time even in the trailers to give me any hints. She performed alright in challenges, scoring a 4 in the Signature Dish Challenge and cooking a chicken wing dish that was neither one of the best nor one of the worst in the Creative Chicken Wing Challenge. It was going to the first service where Charlene began to decompose. During prep, Charlene admitted that she was nervous and unconfident, and it didn't help her situation when realizing that she would be partnered with Billy, who was somewhat of a loose cannon, throughout the first service on the meat station. During said service, Billy did make a lot of mistakes that put him in the spotlight, but Charlene's lack of communication and poor timing concerning the chicken didn't go unnoticed. Considering that she became too overwhelmed after Ramsay yelled at her, it seems that Ramsay eliminating Charlene was better off for her mental health anyway. With that in mind, the circumstances surrounding the following person's elimination lead me to believe that Charlene would not have been eliminated here, had Ramsay gone through with Ileana's elimination earlier in the episode. Next, there's the butt of all the great white shark jokes, Zeus Gordiani. In spite of being called shark bait by Ramsay, Zeus had a good challenge track record during his short stay, scoring a 4 in the Signature Dish Challenge and cooking one of the better chicken wing dishes of the blue team in the Creative Chicken Wing Challenge. Like Charlene, it was soon before the first service when Zeus became nervous, in his case due to having a lot of questions after Jay's demonstrations. During the first service, Zeus repeatedly messed up his carbonaras, but he eventually managed to get them right. Regardless, I still felt that Zeus was the weakest performer on the blue team that night, and I was surprised that his team didn't nominate him later. As Ramsay was about to eliminate Charlene over Billy, Zeus nominated himself and offered to go home over Charlene and Billy because they were still interested in competing while he had lost his interest. Though Ramsay initially ignored Zeus and eliminated Charlene anyway, he decided to clear up his deficit from earlier with Ileana and sent home Zeus too for falling on the sword this early in the game. Zeus's exiting comment further confirms that he became overwhelmed by the craziness of Hell's Kitchen and lost his interest in the competition, which makes me believe that Ramsay would have spared Charlene and eliminated Zeus immediately had he followed through with eliminating Ileana earlier in the episode. Some people might criticize contestants who throw in the towel on the show, but at the end of the day, unlike a lot of other competitive reality shows like Survivor, which are games for cash prizes, Hell's Kitchen is essentially a long job interview, and if one doesn't think they are a good fit to finish the process, then it's best not to waste any more of one's own or anyone else's time. Next, we've got O'Shea Lawley, who, along with Zeus, is one of the 2 first contestants from the state of Delaware. Seriously, what is it with Hell's Kitchen contestants who are the first from their states getting booted so early these past few seasons? Anyway, O'Shea didn't perform badly in the Signature Dish Challenge, nor during the first service, but he narrowly dodged elimination in the Creative Chicken Wing Challenge when his protein turned out to be raw. Essentially the Matthew Francis Johnson of this elimination challenge, O'Shea was spared over Ileana even though some people might argue that his dish was worse than hers, simply due to the gravity of raw chicken. During the second service, Nicole and O'Shea were the 2 primary disasters of the blue team, thanks to their dismal performances on the meat station, which resulted in them being the blue team's 2 nominees that night. From my perspective, what proved to be fatal for O'Shea at this point was that Nicole better convinced Ramsey that she could bounce back and play hard than O'Shea did. Meanwhile, with Ramsey probably also considering what happened with Charlene and Zeus when pointing out to O'Shea that he froze during service, O'Shea was easily shown the door. With these past few eliminations making it evident that Ramsey was wanting to see Fight back more than anything else at this point in the competition, Ramsey went back to basics and reorganized the teams based on gender. Next, the latest contestant to be eliminated, Nicole Gomez. Nicole is a quirky person who was fun and entertaining to watch, but there is no denying that she was poor in challenges, so much so that she probably has one of the worst challenge track records in the past 10 seasons of Hell's Kitchen. As I mentioned before, Nicole and O'Shea both performed abysmally during the second service, but I can understand why Nicole was saved over O'Shea given that she made it clear to Ramsey that she wouldn't stop fighting back. Becoming a member of the new all-female Red Team going into the fourth episode, the younger women were all skeptical of Nicole's arrival thanks to her poor reputation, and it can be said that, in terms of the story, the fourth episode can be best described as the inevitable fall of Nicole. Her teammates gave her a chance to prove herself in the challenge when they put up Nicole's beef slider over Summer's. This turned out to be a mistake as Nicole's slider scored the Red Team only 2 points, while Summer's would have scored them 5 or 6 points, which would have given them the victory. Going into the third service, the younger women were not at ease, as they felt that Nicole was someone that would need to be babysat. Admittedly, when analyzing the third service just by itself, Nicole didn't stand out as negatively as Alyssa and Summer did, who were having issues on the meat station. Also, it was Daphne's mistake with the salmon that provoked Ramsey into summoning the blue team to help the red team out with finishing their tickets. However, as some of their teammates later pointed out, Nicole didn't stand up because she hid and didn't contribute much anyway that night. With Ramsey asking the women to select their nominees based on who they thought were the weakest links of the team overall, Nicole was one of the nominees alongside Alyssa and, surprisingly, Mindy instead of Summer. Predictably, given the trajectory of the episode, Ramsey then took Nicole's jacket as she didn't deliver on her promise from the last time she was nominated. Now that the eliminated contestants are out of the way, I will present the remaining contestants in the order that I predict they will place this season. To begin, the thing is, I think Ramsey's going to want to keep contestants such as Billy, who may be on the weaker side but at least bring entertainment value, until the final 10 at the earliest. This is because, ever since season 13, what I like to call the gift phase would begin at the final 10 and, since season 17, every gift contestant was present at the finale. With this in mind, if Billy and Summer and others like them are kept around just a little bit longer, then fans will see them appear in the finale and be subject to their entertainment again for one more episode. Given that I don't really think that the following person is one of those people, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 14th place will be Vlad Briancev. Funnily enough, even though Vlad made it far enough to be in this portion of the video rather than the prior one, if he's eliminated here, then that would still make him the first 20-something eliminated. What I've noticed with Vlad is that he's a quieter chef during service with communication issues, and he's been on a downward spiral over the past few episodes. Given that the preview for the 6th episode at the end of the 5th episode shows the men arguing while the women comment about the volume of said conflict, I believe that the blue team will lose the next service and Vlad will meet its end here. Next, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 13th place will be Vlad's Chicago rival and Alex Linick's girlfriend, Alyssa Osinga. Even though Ileana and Summer had more issues during services than Alyssa amongst the younger women, Alyssa tends to be partnered with them whenever these mistakes occur. Additionally, her negative presence isn't beneficial to her team, and I'm sure that had something to do with her being the Red Team's first nominee after the third service, while Summer, who arguably performed slightly worse that night, got off scot-free. Alyssa seems to be doing alright in challenges, but to reiterate my prior point, in every episode so far, save for the first, there has been some sort of conflict between Alyssa, Ileana, and or Summer, and Alyssa seems to be the most present in these out of the trio. Off topic, am I the only one who's noticing that this is the first all-rookie season in a very long time where the men in general are performing better than the women in general? Considering all of this, I don't think we'll be seeing Alyssa for much longer. In fact, given that Ramsey just created another deficit in terms of eliminations by not sending anyone home thanks to both teams having a decent service, he could eliminate Alyssa at the same time as Vlad and maybe get himself an airfare deal by sending them both back to Chicago on the same flight. However, if Ramsey doesn't clear up said deficit in the 6th episode, he could do it in the 7th episode by sending Alyssa home with the following person, who is also on thin ice. Regardless, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 12th place will be Ileana De Silva. Given that she dodged a bullet in the 2nd episode, I believe that Ileana put herself in the same position that Robert Hesse was back in season 6. Since she was granted one more chance, as per Ramsey's words, I could see Ramsey eliminating Ileana the next time any team nominates her for elimination. I know a lot of fans are seeing a potential for a Nikki Hannah character arc in Ileana, but from what I can see, there is practically nothing in the edit that gives me that impression apart from her original teammates sometimes doubting her, of which, let's be honest, they kind of had a reason to do so in the first place. Though she performed decently during the third service, this wasn't particularly highlighted, and she was able to avoid nomination whenever she did make mistakes during the services because her team was safe those nights. As Ileana would already know, she can only hide behind immunity for so long before getting exposed if she doesn't make noticeable improvements. Next, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 11th place will be Mindy Livingood. So far, Mindy has gotten a similar edit to Keanu Hogan from last season, and I can totally see her journey ending in the same way. Mindy's been fairly consistent, but also somewhat under the radar in terms of her presence on screen. In the 4th episode, she had a good moment when she discussed her increasing confidence with her teammates and her past as an overweight woman, but she was nominated for elimination later that episode for supposedly being a weak link, even though she did have a solid service that night. In that vein, I could see Mindy being chosen at the final 11 by a teammate as someone who needs to prove themselves in the Cook for Your Life challenge. Since I'm not getting any vibes that Mindy will make a deep run in this competition, I could see her losing this elimination challenge and being sent home just before the gift phase. After her elimination, Ramsey will reassign a member of the blue team, probably Alex, to the red team in order to even the teams out. Now, onto the gift phase, or in this case, the final 10. I predict that the contestant eliminated in 10th place will be Billy Tredso. The thing about Be True is that I feel that there are two sides to him. On one hand, Billy can be a klutz in the kitchen and drop the ball, and on the other hand, Billy can perform well, but at the same time over-encourage his teammates to the point where it annoys them. Neither of these are ideal for a competitor on Hell's Kitchen, and these are often brought up when his team has to deliberate after losing a service. In fact, the pattern I've noticed with Billy whenever the blue team loses a service is that they go deliberate, someone mentions Billy's name and raises a valid point, and then Billy gets all loud and boisterous. Additionally, Billy seems to be the only 40-something that constantly gets pep talks from his teammates discussing his perception and how he needs to tone things down. While Billy does have flashes of brilliance, these do not overshadow his mistakes both inside and outside the kitchen, and I don't see him getting farther than this point, making it just far enough for viewers to laugh at his funny personality one more time in the finale. At this point in the competition, I think Ramsey's going to start keeping more of an eye on who's emerging and flourishing as leaders within the two teams, so I would say that the following two predictions might be shocking to some, but with that said, I predict the contestant eliminated in 9th place will be Daphne Mejia. Apart from some major mishaps during the Creative Chicken Wing Challenge and the third service, Daphne has performed consistently well and is arguably one of the stronger women this season. There are even some sentiments that Daphne's age of 29 years in itself makes her winner material on the season simply because it allows her to inherently balance certain aspects of being in one's 20s with others of being in one's 40s. However, Daphne has generally been a quieter presence in the kitchen and, at some point, Ramsey is going to notice. Given that Ramsey is looking for someone to fill an executive chef position, he's wanting someone who is vocal, and if Daphne doesn't start having moments where she starts to prove that she could have a commanding voice, he won't bring her to the end. As fairly well as Daphne's been doing so far, I don't believe that she will emerge from her shell and she'll be cut around here. Next, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 8th place will be A.B. Sanchez. Over the first 4 episodes, I was seeing A.B. the same way that I was seeing Adam Pollack from season 19, in the sense that, earlier on, they were both coming across as among the better chefs of their respective seasons, but they were also being perceived as boring TV by some of the fan base. When watching the 5th episode of the season, though, it is shown that A.B. has some cracks in his skill set and that he isn't the best communicator when it comes to playing as a team. I genuinely believe that A.B. wants to avoid conflict, but during this past episode, it came across as him not taking certain people's advice seriously when they were genuinely concerned for him, and, to make matters worse for him, the preview for the 6th episode at the end of the 5th episode shows A.B. responding angrily to his teammates during deliberation and storming off. While I believe that A.B. will remain a consistent cook over the next few episodes, I think Ramsey will let him go at the final 8, probably either due to not being able to earn enough respect from his teammates should Ramsey take him to the end, in a similar vein to Trev McGrath from season 18, or due to dropping the ball during a service in which each contestant has to lead a course. I believe that, like last season, the Black Jacket Elimination Challenge will take place at the final 7, and we will be seeing 2 chefs be sent home here. Like usual, what I think will happen is that the 7th place contestant will produce the dish that is more noticeably the weakest of those presented in the final round of the gauntlet, and that immediately after, the 6th place contestant will lose by a very slim margin to the contestant who will go on to be eliminated in 5th place in the following episode. To be honest, I made my predictions for the final 4 before I made my predictions for the 7th, 6th, and 5th placers. So I made the following 3 predictions based on how these 3 contestants performed in challenges up until now, and on how I think they will perform in challenges going forward. So first, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 7th place will be Summer Sellers. I know I already said earlier that she, Alyssa, and Ileana were performing the worst among the younger women, but I think that with both Alyssa and Ileana gone before the gift phase, Summer will have a chance to prove herself without being distracted by the squabbling she played a part in. Also considering that Summer hasn't been nominated yet, I think that she'll flourish as a cook and that, as I mentioned in my preseason contestant breakdown video, she will emerge as the vocal leader I anticipated her to be. Unfortunately for Summer, she has been inconsistent in challenges and, even though I doubt she'll perform poorly here, she'll still be outcooked by 6 more consistent challenge performers. Next, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 6th place will be Brett Vinegar Shorts. So yeah, remember when Christina mentioned that she had high hopes for Brett during the preseason cast introduction videos? I think this is what that will foreshadow. Brett just missing out on a black jacket by a slim margin. As of now, Brett has had a phenomenal run on Hell's Kitchen apart from his mishaps on the meat station during the 3rd service. Going forward, I think Brett will continue to have good performances, though I also think that he will have some glitches every now and then that some of the older members of his team will criticize him for. In many other seasons, Brett would easily be a black jacket chef, but there is some stiff competition this year, and I believe that he will be edged out by the following contestant in the final round of the Black Jacket Elimination Challenge. Now, onto the Black Jackets. I predict that the contestant eliminated in 5th place will be Alejandro Najar. So far, Alejandro has had a similar journey to Brett in the sense that they both perform well in challenges and services, got transferred to the blue team and continued to perform well, but also had one instance where they displayed cracks in their skill sets. In Alejandro's case, he dropped the ball during the emergency worker breakfast service challenge, and he was even punished for it more harshly than Brett was for his earlier mistake, as he was nominated for it later that episode, even though he had performed well during the corresponding service. I can picture Alejandro bouncing back well over the next few episodes and continuing to have a generally good run until the final 7. There, I believe that he will beat out Brett and Summer just by virtue of his top-notch challenge performances earlier in the season, as demonstrated by his achievement in earning a punishment pass in the 2nd episode. Getting to the final 5, I think that Alejandro will get cut because, unfortunately, he'll be outclassed by the remaining competition. Additionally, what I noticed about Alejandro is that he stood out as an excellent leader while he was on the red team, but he took a step back after transferring to the blue team. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but it does open the possibility that he might not properly adapt when he joins the black team. Going into the final 4, I think the season will follow a similar edgic style to season 20. Contestants who started out as frontrunner winner picks, such as Steve Glenn and Alejandro, would ultimately be edged out by chefs who might not have stood out as much earlier on. What I find interesting about my final 4 predictions is that this group consists of an older man, a younger man, an older woman, and a younger woman, one of either gender from either age group. At this point, I believe that Ramsey will already have in his mind who should get the job at Hell's Kitchen restaurant in seasons at Atlantic City. So, the person who I think will be eliminated after the last service before the finale and my 4th place prediction is Cheyenne Nichols. Up until now, apart from a mistimed fish during the 4th service, Cheyenne has been performing very well, but never got too much spotlight for these performances and remained under the radar in the edit. That being said, I predict that she will be getting more content in the upcoming episodes and that she'll continue to perform well, even beginning to outshine more highlighted power players like Alejandro, Brett, and Alex. In short, I see Cheyenne as being the dark horse of the season and deservedly earning her place in the Black Jacket Club. I think that Cheyenne can lead, but I don't think that will be her problem during the last service before the finale. Instead, I think she'll have some issues with the quality control test and will miss out on the final 3 for more subtle reasons, similar to Cindy Stanimira from season 11 and Jennifer Saloff from season 13. Okay, at this point in the series, it's fair to assume that final 3 finales are the new norm, and that whoever places 3rd will be eliminated after losing the final challenge. Going on with my point about how I think less highlighted chefs will outlast everybody's early favorites, I predict that the contestant eliminated in 3rd place will be Alex Bello. Just holy hell, this guy's been performing well. He can lead, he can cook, and apart from Billy, he can communicate effectively with his teammates. With all these points, why don't I think Alex will win? Well, I think it's because Ramsey will see something else in one of the following 2 chefs at some point down the road, and whoever he'll want as his next executive chef will suddenly click in his mind. As much as this would be unfortunate for Alex, it is important to note that Alex seems to already have an extensive career outside of Hell's Kitchen, and he'll probably be successful at whatever culinary endeavor he takes on next, even if he loses here. Before I reveal who I think will be the runner-up and the winner, I want to predict who will be assigned to whose brigade and in what order. I predict that Sakari will win the final challenge and will therefore be rewarded with the first pick. I predict that Sakari will pick Alejandro first, then Tara will pick Alex, then Sakari will pick Cheyenne, then Tara will pick Daphne, then Sakari will pick Brett, then Tara will pick Summer, then Sakari will pick Abby, and then Tara will be left with Billy. Sakari's brigade will cook in the blue kitchen, and Tara's brigade will cook in the red kitchen. Okay, predicting the winner of my final two is pretty tough. On one hand, Tara has been very vocal and has been holding her own in challenges and services, in spite of being in Alex's shadow in the edit while on the original blue team with the 40-somethings. In fact, I was surprised to see that no one in the comments section of my preseason contestant breakdown video even had her among their black jacket predictions, let alone their final two predictions. Meanwhile, Sakari's been performing consistently well, excelling in challenges, and seems to be rising to the top. Tara and Sakari are pretty neck and neck, with them even having some subtle parallels to each other, as they were both presented last by their sous chefs in their respective preseason cast introduction videos, and they were both runner-ups on separate episodes of Chopped. Personally, I don't care for the idea of hiring someone exclusively to have representation, but many corners of society, especially woke ones, do, and Ramsay might see either chef as an opportunity to achieve that. Should Tara win, she would become the oldest person to win Hell's Kitchen just by virtue of her being in her 40s. Should Sakari win, the series would have another black winner and another male winner. Now it's time to find out who I think will turn the locked doorknob. I predict that the runner-up of season 21 will be Sakari Smithwick. After pleasantly surprising Christina with his signature dish, Sakari continued to remain near the top with his performances over the next few episodes. I think that he will continue to have an awesome run and will make the finale, but I still believe that he will be edged out by my winner pick because Ramsay will see something that has already emerged in her, while with Sakari, I think it still will take a few more episodes before we see the same thing emerge on his end. So finally, I predict that the winner of Hell's Kitchen Season 21 will be Tara Cianella. The thing about Tara is that she has come across as a mom figure on both of her teams, but more specifically one that has an objective in mind and instills discipline in her teammates to get the job done, rather than one who just simply comes across as nurturing and friendly like Mindy. For those who are fans of Survivor, Tara can be compared to Laura Moret from seasons 19 and 27, while Mindy can be compared to Heather Aldrete from season 41. Mom figures are not typically anticipated to play the best games while on Survivor, and I think this presumption may have translated here, which may explain in part why absolutely no one, no one, in the comment section of my preseason contestant breakdown video even had her among their black jacket predictions. However, Hell's Kitchen is a very different competition to Survivor, and Tara has the right temperament to make it far this season. Why do I think Ramsay will pick her over Sakari? I think this is because Tara has already emerged as a strong, vocal, and agreeable leader, and has already proven herself in that regard, while Sakari hasn't done so yet. Some people might argue that Ramsay just plain doesn't pick older winners because he wants to invest in younger chefs with long-term potential, but I want to point out that the subtitle of the season is Battle of the Ages. So I think Ramsay will also pick the 41-year-old Tara because doing so would line up with the season's theme, would give potential future older contestants some hope, and will give fans of representation a nugget. So there you have it. This has been my cast assessment and placement predictions video for season 21. If you have spoilers for the rest of the season, please do not comment them here until the corresponding episodes air. Myself and the fans want to leave each episode not feeling spoiled. That being said, who do you think is going to win Hell's Kitchen season 21? Why is that? Let me know in the comment section below. Before I go, I'd like to give a shout out to Flynn Masters, who, you might like this, is going to be collabing with me on a video about Hell's Kitchen some point soon. Another surprise for you guys is that I will be translating Survivor Quebec, expected to be released in 2023. I will be releasing a teaser about that tomorrow, and I will also have a Patreon page set up as your support will be appreciated. Thank you for watching and be sure to like and subscribe. Toodles!